Hello and welcome to the Smart Women in Business vlog and podcast. I'm your host, Jane Mackay from Jane Mackay Communications, marketing consultant and coach who works with people across the world to build the business of their dreams. Today, it is my pleasure to be speaking with Erin Huckle, founder of Chuckle Communications. Erin is in the business of raising the profiles of her clients through proactive PR, amazing award entries, and compelling written content. Erin works with innovative, ethical, and creative small businesses and leaders to find their voice and tell their stories. Her focus is on helping clients connect with their ideal customers by turning up where they hang out, hence how we found each other. Erin has almost 20 years of experience in PR and has worked across sectors including tourism, IT, major events, not-for-profits, tech, and publishing. She still gets a huge buzz out of helping her clients get featured in the media. I know it's like a woohoo moment every time, and loves celebrating the awesomeness of her clients. Based in Wollongong, shout out to the gong, Erin is a mum to 3 very busy boys, and in her spare time, she loves any opportunity for a rare moment of peace. Good luck with that with 3 boys, ideally with her head in a book. Welcome, Erin.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a bit cringe hearing your own bio read out, isn't it?
Now we know what we do to our clients. They're like, don't make me visible. Don't make me visible. Or like, here's your media kit. And they're like, don't talk about myself in the third person.
I know. That's why so many people do choose to work with me. They're like, I just can't do it. I can't write an award entry for myself without feeling absolutely
about pages. People are like, I can't do it. I cannot write it. I even struggle.
Yeah.
It's
a thing. It's a real thing.
We're not into tooting our own horns in any way. So it's not just you, it's all of us professionals as well. So Erin, tell me about your business journey and how you got to where you are now.
So, journey, that sounds so grand.
Went to uni, came out, got a job. No.
The end. My business, Chuckle Communications, has been running for just over 2 years. But as you mentioned, I've been in PR for nearly 20 years, which makes you feel quite old. And I remember my first job out of uni, we used to post out press releases in the mail.
Fax them.
And sometimes fax if we were really fancy. And I remember my manager at the time had this trick where instead of printing our press releases on white paper, we would print them on coloured paper because she thought it might help them stand out in the pile of...
Or in the pile, you remember, or if the journo's feeling lazy, they'd just go, yep, that one will do.
Yeah, the one on the yellow paper, that'll do. Okay. So yeah, I've had a long journey, I guess, in terms of working in PR and communications. I've worked in Sydney and Australia and also in the UK, probably 50-50 with my career. But in start of 2018, we moved to Wollongong, and I was pregnant with baby number 3, and we just moved here from the UK, and I felt extremely unemployable at that point, which was fine. I was about to have another baby. There was no expectation that I would necessarily be working. But he came along, and then I sort of floated around for about a year, just enjoying finding my feet in a new place. And then I started job hunting and just quickly came to realize, as I'm sure many mums who start businesses do, that it was really hard to find something that was family friendly, especially with 3 small kids. At that point, I think my eldest had just started school. And yeah, I was just really lucky that I made a connection through my mother's group here in Wollongong, who was in a similar place. And we kind of egged each other on, like, why don't we just go into business for ourselves? Like, why not? We've got nothing to lose. I couldn't find a job that was ticking all the boxes. And I thought, well, I'll just give it a go. I'll give it a year. And if it doesn't work out, then I'll go back and hit the Seek job board and see what I can find, and perhaps sell my soul to working full time with 3 small kids. But happily, that didn't have to happen. And yeah, 2 years later, it's going really well. And I can't actually imagine working for someone ever again. Just kind of
I'm unemployable. Well, congrats. It's amazing because it's such I just want to tip my hat to any person that manages to raise their children, like be the primary carer and deal with school holidays. Because that is a logistical nightmare. It is, what is it, 12 weeks a year?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, it's funny because I remember when my kids were really little, like when I first had my eldest son, who's 8 now, and I remember thinking, well, imagine once they're all at school, or once he's at school, I'll have all this time. But school is just such a, nasty trick that's pulled on us, because school days are so short and school holidays are so long, and actually daycare is much more amenable to running.
Yeah, daycare's great.
Like daycare, long
business hours,
51 weeks of the year, I just think school is challenging, and especially when you're I'm married to a shift worker, I've got no family locally, so it's always a bit of a juggle.
Oh, what a challenge.
But I do try and get I kind of have been quite open with my kids about what I do and that I'm running my business, and I try and involve them a bit and
leave mummy alone. The door's closed. Mummy's on deadline.
I have a home office, but it doesn't have a door, and that was what I asked for Christmas. I was like, asked my husband,
"There's not a door
on my office.
It'll be there under the tree, this giant door." Sadly, I just asked my husband for a RoboVac that also mops.
Oh, wow.
#mum goals. Yeah. But anyway, this is our lives, because I don't have a cleaner and I've got 2 small children and I run my own business, and it's you're feeling me. Everyone out there's feeling me, I think. So in terms of so your business probably looks very different to how you started. We go into these things thinking we're going to do some things, and then we end up doing other things and we don't like those things. So tell me how it's evolved, and what were the signs that it was time to change for you? Because I love this is always different for everybody.
Yeah, that's such a great question. I mean, I think when I started 2 years ago, I was quite nervous because I've been in the UK before moving to Wollongong. I've been overseas at that point for about 6 years. And even so, when I came back to Australia, I was quite nervous about putting myself out there as a freelance PR consultant, because I just felt a bit disconnected from the media landscape, and the contacts I had were out of date, and everything had changed. So many magazines had closed, so many websites had popped up, and I just felt like I wasn't really in that position to put myself out there as a PR consultant. But there was this need that I saw for copywriters and content creators, and I've always done writing through my work, and it just felt like quite not an easy, but just it felt like a practical way to pitch myself, in terms of it was work I could do any time of the night and the day as well, while I was juggling the kids. I guess like a lot of people, when I started, I was just trying to be everything to everyone. I would go to networking events and just say, I can do whatever you need. I can write blogs, I can write websites, I can write award entries, and I'll do it all for 50 cents. It was just like
$20 an hour, it'll be fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. I started my freelance journey as a copywriter.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I understand that. Yeah.
And I feel like, and it was hard to, obviously you're so grateful, and I'm still really grateful to anyone who's worked with me over the last 2 years. And at the start, you're so kind of excited to be getting paid to work for people and do this work that you don't really realize.
And you love the work.
You love the work. It's so self-affirming, look at me getting jobs, people are paying me, and I'm writing words, and money's coming in. It's so exciting. And then actually I was probably nearly a year into my business journey as a freelancer, and I just started realizing that actually the things I was doing, I didn't want to just be everything to everyone, because actually that can be quite of a hard sell. And you end up not necessarily working with your ideal client. And obviously, as time's gone on, I've worked out who my ideal client is. And it was actually one of my clients who said to me, you're in the business of profile raising. What you do is all about profile raising. Yes, you write great copy, but you write really successful award entries, and you help people get into the media and onto podcasts. And I was like, oh yeah, that works, profile raising. So that's kind of how my business has evolved. And I guess as you get more experienced and a bit more confident, you realize that saying no to things means you can say yes to other things. And I've gotten better at saying no, but here's someone who could help you. That's my approach. No, sorry, but here you go. Yeah. exactly. It's not for me, but someone else could help. Or I would love to work with you, but I can't right now, because I would have people turn up in my inbox and think I really want to work with them. So I would just say, yes, I can start tomorrow. But it's also that idea that actually it's good to make people wait a bit. It makes them realize that you're worth waiting for, and that you are in demand, and that you're already busy with clients because you have a proper business. You're not just sitting around Netflix waiting for someone to call.
There is this weird thing with freelancing where people either send you job ads because they think you're looking for a job, very kind of you, or you're waiting for clients, and it's like, well, generally we all have a waiting list. If you're good, if you've been in business for a while, you're obviously quality. And there's a wait list. You can't just drop. So you got to plan for things. Yeah. That's my number one tip for everyone who's looking to work with freelancers. Plan for it, because we're not sitting here waiting for work generally. Occasionally.
No. And it's hard when I do definitely have people pleasing tendencies. Like, I'm quite a yes person, and I get excited about things. I want to say yes. And I've had to be like back in, I think it was early November, I put some stuff up on my socials about how I was booked up until February next year. And someone said to me, oh, like, that's really cool. And my husband was like, oh, why are you putting that out there? And I was like, well, it's partly to tell people that I'm not available, but it's also to keep myself accountable and stop me from saying yes.
It's like people call and go, can you take this on? Yeah. Oh, that's weird, because I thought on your Instagram. Oh, yeah. I like that. Yeah.
I think it's good to be a bit more accountable on those boundaries, and that's definitely been something that's changed in my business as well.
And as you get busier, you need to be super firm on your boundaries, because burnout is real, and it happens you slip into it quite easily, and because you're putting so much pressure on yourself to show up and be the create the hype, do the thing, be there for your clients, that if you just take on too much, it's just exhausting, especially balancing it all. And feel empowered to say no. It's fine.
Definitely. And I think when I started, I had this idea in my head that if you ran your own business or were a freelancer, you had to burn the midnight oil every night and be working.
The hustle culture.
The hustle. And I was, the kids were young. I mean, they're still young, but they're even younger. And I would get them to bed, and then I would sit on the couch exhausted and like begrudgingly get my laptop out and, slowly tap away and think, and just really resent it. And actually then I realized a big learning for me has been that I don't work well after about 5 p.m. My brain is just mush. I can't do it. Like, so I have a rule now. I don't work at night.
No, I don't work at night. I work weekends.
Yeah, I'll work weekends,
fine if need,
and I'll work for early in the morning. Like
5.
Yeah.
I'm
often up really early.
My husband, I'm building a website for my husband's business, and I recently got a laptop. Never had one. I've always been like big setup, and I got it out the other day, and he's like, can you just show me how to do this thing on the website, blah blah blah. And then I've got the laptop, and then I've walked over to the couch with the laptop, and he went, oh, this is new. This shouldn't ask Janie to use the laptop after dinner, because I'm like, I've just got a little thing I need to sort out. He goes, no, because it's easy. I'm also fine. I've got this really easy workaholic tendency. It just sort of bleeds out, especially I reckon lockdown, because I had nowhere to go. There was no delineation in the day. There was no having to be done by school pickup.
No, exactly.
No. Aren't we naughty anyway? Habits.
I know. And it's hard because when I do genuinely love what I do. Like, I really enjoy it, and I love helping my clients, so it's not like,
I love the creative stuff, and it's fun.
I love different ideas, and I love the execution of it, and it's just, it's stuff that you love. But I had to be quite firm with myself at the start of this year, obviously before I realized lockdowns were happening and things, but I had to sort of say to myself that the days that I am with my 2 younger boys, because I have 2 days a week where, I'm their primary carer, I need to be really present with them, because I was just putting on ABC Kids and telling them to shush. And that's not really why I wanted to start my own business, So
I've been there.
Oh, yeah. And it's hard because then you feel like you're not doing anything well. And it's
Yeah. Which leads me to my next question. How do you manage your life as an entrepreneur and all the other roles that we have to fulfill? Chef, cleaner, friend, wife, mother, all them, daughter. Oh God.
So many hats.
So many hats. Chief party organizer is me today, but anyway, yeah.
Oh my, nice. Yeah, it is a juggle, isn't it? It's funny. I have a client who I was watching an IG live they did recently, and they were talking about how they hate the word balance, and I was like, yeah, that's so true. Like, there is no such thing as balance. It's more about like the kind of blend of what you're doing at any one point. But I guess it just comes down to feeling more confident around like what you're doing and why you're doing it, and being able to say no in business has also helped me sometimes say no outside of business to things. And I guess lockdown's helped us with that a bit as well. Like, you know, we don't have to say yes to all the things. But yeah, I probably have a bit too much on my plate at any one time, which is probably normal when your kids are young and you're doing a lot of the things.
All the things. See, all our things have dropped away in lockdown. We have no after school anything. Oh, we've got taekwondo, but like it used to be swimming and soccer, summer soccer and this and that. And we were out 4 nights a week. I was exhausted and the kids are exhausted.
Yeah,
you're trying to do all the things for them, make their life as rich as possible, and sometimes all they want to do is come home and sit on the couch and watch Netflix.
I think that's it, isn't it? You know, I think I've definitely been guilty of over scheduling my kids' lives
and my own.
Like, and my own. Because again, it's like you get that FOMO. I don't want to miss out. I don't want them to miss out.
And they want to do all the things.
They want to do the things. And I love, like, my eldest really loves doing all the things, and he wants to say yes to everything, and he does a lot of activities. But you know, I think with the younger ones especially, like I used to, you know, I do still love planning play dates and things when I'm off with them, but you know, often like for me to sit and play Lego with them for half an hour, that's their day made. Like they just want my attention and my focus, you know, like the really simple things. And I guess that was another lockdown lesson. It's like, it doesn't have to be an outing to a zoo. It can literally just be looking for worms in the garden and
playing a game.
Doing some drawing on the cement outside. Like, they're so easily pleased.
We made it really complicated. But it turns out they just want to chill and hang and do fun stuff. But exactly. But there's so much pressure on us to like make sure that your kids are having this rich and fulfilled life, and they're socialized and they've got their gross motor skills and their fine motor skills, and you're teaching them to read, and it's like, oh my God, like how much pressure are we under? They're well fed. Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
I know. It's funny, isn't it? Because I feel like sometimes I'm creating these monsters. Like, I love these monsters, but
I love my monsters.
You know, it's almost like sometimes they're like, you know, I often hear like, I'm bored. I'm like, well, I'm bored. Okay, it's good to be bored. Like,
my husband says only boring people are bored.
I say that to my son all the time, and it drives him mad.
So we say it more.
And then I was nagging him about something the other day, and he said, "You're no fun, Mum." And I said, "I'm not here to entertain you."
Don't make your boredom my problem.
Exactly. Go and find a way to fix it.
Apparently you've got a million toys because they're all over your bedroom floor. So why don't you go and clean up? That'll be fun. And then they like skulk off. Then she might not mention cleaning up my room again.
Exactly. You shouldn't have told Mum I was bored. It's hard. I definitely think like the whole feeling of overwhelm, it sort of definitely pays to come back to like why you're doing what you're doing. And for me, it was like, well, the whole point of me running the business was so that I could be more present with them. So if that means saying no to more clients so that I can have a bit more time with them, that's all good.
All good. And that's how you create the balance.
Walk that tightrope.
So what does a great day in the office look like for you?
Well, generally, I mean, I mentioned it before, but I love getting up early, and I've realized I'm a proper early bird. Like my favorite kind of day is like today I got up at 4:45. I was sort of sitting at my table doing my cup of tea. Like,
you really are an early bird.
I really am, but I go to bed super early as well, which really suits my Nana tendencies. Like, I've never been that much of a night out party animal.
Rager. No, I'm not.
Yes. Yeah. No thanks. But yeah, I've kind of, for me, an ideal day would be getting up and having like a nice hour before the kids wake up.
See, that's the crux of the issue there. Like 4:45 is like, because we're getting close to solstice, it's like getting up earlier and earlier and earlier.
I mean, this morning I was up at 4:45. My 3-year-old was up at 5:13. So I didn't get that much quiet time, but I'm trying.
I was up at 5:30 with my one today.
Yes.
Because of stupid elf on the shelf makes him more excited to get out of bed. Don't do it to yourself.
No, why have I done? I've done that to myself as well. Elfie.
Elfie. I didn't buy it. My daughter's friend bought it for her.
Thanks for
that. I feel like texting her dad every night. Go, you give me the ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Elfie's already tired, and it's only been 2 days. But I think for me, an ideal day, like, I love having a couple of productive hours in the morning, because that's when I'm really firing in terms of like writing or creating content or being creative with my ideas. But I do love connecting with someone every day if I can. I mean, it's lovely to have a nice clear day free of meetings to get down and get work done, but I'm someone who loves talking to people and connecting with people and talking to clients. So I feel like having that balance, like a nice clear morning to get work done, and then an afternoon of meetings and chat and admin and getting on top of those sorts of things is always a win. And now that lockdown's finished here, and we're in Greater Sydney and Wollongong, just like even yesterday I got to go along to the She Will Shine coffee morning and actually meet with people in real life, and it was so nice. I just love that kind of thing as part of my work day. It feels like such a treat.
Yeah, the quiet, I like hierarchy my day. Like, writing goes first because it's the hardest, and then like I reward myself at the end of the day with web design, because that's like chill time for me.
That's my fun time.
Because I too am a nana. So us comms people, we're all geeks. What are your favorite tools? Because I love asking people. Everyone has a different tech stack.
I love asking people this as well. I actually work with a really brilliant cyber psychologist at the moment, and she does, she's really cool. She's got this program which is called Digital Nutrition, and she's all about how we use tech in a healthy way, and we connect connect as humans in a digital world. And this is a question she gets asked a lot too. I'm like, it's such an interesting question, because there are so many things out there that can almost feel a bit overwhelming. And I've tried a few different things. At the moment, I've come back to Trello because I'm juggling quite a few PR clients, and I'm loving that I can have a board for each of the clients I'm working on and share that with them. And in that board, we can have, the podcasts that they're going to be speaking on, the upcoming media opportunities that are confirmed, or the ones that are in the pipeline, and deadlines. And it sort of means we can collaborate, but it's not too complex. Like, I quite like that it's quite visual. And then I've also recently discovered Notion. I don't know if you've used.
I don't know
Notion, but
I'm living in ClickUp at the moment. ClickUp is my brain.
ClickUp, okay. Yeah, I've heard good things about that. No, Notion is like, it's almost like just having a blank page in front of you, and you can use it. Sometimes I just jot notes on, like, I don't know, I'll see media publications and I think, oh, that'll be a really good one to pitch this client to, so I'll just make a note of it. So I'll have a sheet in there that's just media pitch ideas, but you can also create quite beautiful looking like feature articles and blogs, and it's, you can drop in it's videos and images. Like, it's really user friendly. Like, I'm not super, like, I'm fairly tech savvy, but I'm not like, I can get quite overwhelmed as well. So yeah, Notion it feels like a quite a nice
nice balance. Yeah.
And then I spent a while looking at whether I should be having some different software for onboarding and offboarding and that kind of thing. But at the moment, I'm keeping it fairly simple. I use Google Forms as part of my onboarding, and I've got friends who use things like Dubsado, but I don't feel that I need that at this point.
It's another tool. It's another login. It's another thing you have to check. I just use Google Docs for my onboarding. I'm like, here, have a Google Doc. Tell me about yourself.
Yeah. I'm finding that's working really well. So I'm like, if I can keep it simple, I will. And I don't want it to feel overwhelming or hard for my clients either, because often the reason they've come to me is that, you know, it's not that they can't, a lot of what I do, they could probably do for themselves if they had the time and the inclination and the energy, but they just really want to outsource it to someone else so that it gets done. So if I then come back with a really complex onboarding process, like that just becomes another too hard basket.
It's just not going to get done, and it's hard, isn't it?
So trying to keep it really simple for them as well as for me works. Yeah.
And I'm all for, I was talking to someone yesterday, and we're talking about like the basic bootstrapping. Like you can still do that and run a successful business. You don't need to have, you know, people talk about, what's that really big one, Entreport people have, and it's like $300 a month, whatever it is. And people are out there, the gurus are out there saying, you know, to have a successful business, you have to have this when you start up. It's like, I'm not even making any money. I can't commit to 12 months at whatever hideous amount it is. And it's like, just find what works for you. And also people's brains are all different. Like some people are visual, some people are verbal. Anyway, I find it really interesting. And that's why I like that question, because so many people get told different things and recommended different things. And that's why I always ask, because I've never heard of Notion. Now I want to go and check it out.
It is a really good one to check out. But I think like you can kind of get so bogged down in being overwhelmed with all the things out there that then you just paralyze by choice and you do nothing. So
you sit there researching for hours instead of doing the actual work.
Exactly. And so often it's the most simple things that are the most effective. You know, I've been recently talking to a few clients about LinkedIn, because I'm like, you know, for whatever reason, they're not active on there, and they love doing things on Instagram, and who doesn't? You know, it's pretty and
sexy
and it's sexy, but LinkedIn's not cool or sexy, but it actually is really effective. So
I have been known to call it the middle-aged white man of social media. Sorry, middle-aged white men in my life.
Which is why more of us need to get on there and shake that up. But
yeah, we need to be like doing it proud, because LinkedIn is such a powerful tool. Unbelievable, but it's the bottom of the pile. Like people always go, it's Instagram, it's Facebook, but if you showed up on LinkedIn as consistently as you showed up on Instagram,
exactly.
You might not be as cool.
No, but it's of all the platforms, it's the one that consistently turns into work. So like
people are there to employ other people.
Exactly, and they're looking for people with your skills. So it's amazing. Since I've been more active on there, the number of people who reach out to me and are like, oh, I saw on LinkedIn you were saying that you write ebooks and I need someone to write an ebook, or I saw that you do this. And it's like, whereas I feel like Instagram, it's more like, for me, it's often like a vanity thing. It's like, oh, look, I'm making pretty pictures.
Look, I've got 4,000 followers. And it's like, yay. It is totally vanity metrics, and we love it, but we've been conditioned to look for them. Anyway, go on LinkedIn. All right. It's in my mix.
I'm going to go and check it out. What's Jane been doing on LinkedIn lately?
Not much. One of the things that I always ask, and that affects everyone I know who's in business at some stage, is imposter syndrome. And that's actually was the sort of the germ for me starting this podcast, was to talk about it. So what are your methods to overcome imposter syndrome, and how do you respond to the bad days in business?
Oh, imposter syndrome. It's funny because I naively thought the longer I was in business, the less I would suffer from it, but that's not the case at all. And I was listening to a podcast recently that the people in the podcast were very experienced, and they were saying they still struggle with it. You know, I think it is a really common thing, but it's just trying to remember that there really is work for everyone out there, and that it's kind of working out what your triggers are as well. Like for me, it can be things like going on Instagram, because I go on there and I see people doing similar things to me, and I think, oh, but they're doing it differently or better, or they've just launched this course and they're doing X.
Why haven't I done that?
Why haven't I done that? the corner. And, obviously, I think we're getting a little bit more savvy as time is going on, that is just the highlights reel. Like, obviously, we don't see the 6 failed course launch attempts before that one, or, the fact that they have been eating baked beans for dinner for a whole week, or whatever it is. Like, we only see the highlights. So just trying to keep that perspective around, like, when you get stuck in that comparisonitis cycle, switch it off, like just switch it off. And, and often that's when I will connect with, like, I've got a few other people in similar work who live locally, and I'll connect with them and be like, let's just go for a walk and have a chat. And it's just a case of, oh yeah, that's right. We all have good days. We all have bad days. And trying to remember where you've gotten to as well. Like, the Erin from 2 years ago wouldn't have quite believed that I could be doing, like, working with the kind of clients I'm working with now and achieving the results I'm achieving, so actually just taking that moment to think, rather than focusing on what everyone else is doing and feeling like you don't belong here, just think, well, actually look at the good things, and I know some people have, like, keep little files of great feedback they've had from clients.
Oh, I do. I love it.
Yeah.
One of them sent me a letter the other day and I cried.
Yes. Oh, so nice.
I'm like, oh my God. They sent me a whole hamper and a letter, and I'm like, oh my God. I didn't tell them I cried, because then they would have felt bad. But she's probably listening to this podcast.
Happy tears.
My clients, and I'm so proud of them when they show up and do the work, and I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, but you made me cry.
Just sort of remembering what you're doing, who you're doing it for, and actually them, you are making their lives easier or better, or helping their businesses. And I guess it's also remembering that, I've another copywriter I know, she often says that, rather than beating yourself up because you feel that you haven't necessarily given them, award-winning writing for their blog or whatever it is you've just written, like, just remember that, it's probably something that they never would have gotten around to doing for themselves. It's probably still 10 times better than what they could have done for themselves. They're still really grateful that you've done it, even if you feel like it's not your best work or was done in a bit of a rush.
I should have put that comma there.
Yeah.
I think because it is that focus on detail when you're a writer as well, like, everything has to be right, that we forget that they're not looking at that.
No.
Like, I sent a blog post to a client recently. It was a long one. It's like 1,500 words. And I sent it to them. I got about 45 minutes later, and I just get the phone call. Wow. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, sorry, I made that typo on blah, blah, blah. And they're like, what? Okay, I'll go back over here now and remember every error I've ever made in my copy.
Or I used to make that mistake of thinking that silence meant disapproval, but actually it normally just means either, yep, great,
hit publish,
I'm really happy, or I'm really busy. Where it's not that they've received it and thought this is not even worth the piece of paper it's written on.
Weird. Our brains. And I think it's very much a creative thing as well, because there's no right or wrong answers.
Yeah.
We take a brief, we interpret it, then we write. And I have one client, I always say to him, I always read your copy back in my head in your voice, which makes him laugh. But but it's hard because it is so subjective, and have we met the brief? But you get better.
You do. Yeah, you do. I think
you're better at taking criticism, I should say.
Better at taking criticism and taking it as feedback. And, it definitely has helped me improve the way I work, getting feedback from clients over the years. But I've also tried to get better at managing expectations, like sometimes, so when I do send a first draft of something, I usually say something along the lines of, this is a first draft. It is a starting point. Don't nitpick for typos at this point. It's more about checking it's heading in the right direction, or if it's not heading in the right direction, I'm fine with that. It's your
constructive criticism. Exactly. I won't take it personally.
Let's have a chat. Let's have a conversation, because I think it can be as hard for them sometimes, feeling a bit worried about giving you that feedback
and hurting our feelings. Our feelings no longer get hurt.
Exactly. No, I've got the skin of an elephant.
It's not personal. We know this.
Yeah. Exactly. One person's wow is another person's okay. Not quite what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So you got to
You got to roll with it, don't you? And that is, I think, the key to being in business for yourself is understanding that the criticism's not personal. And if they're trolls, just delete and block. But it's a whole different kettle of fish. But yeah, I love that we evolve to be better at dealing with imposter syndrome.
Yeah. I think that's it. Like acknowledging that it will probably never fully go away, but that you're probably just going to get better at realizing what it is and dealing with it and living to work another freelance day.
And the bad days aren't, they're not going to kill you, you know?
No.
And now I find I don't have bad days. Like one little thing used to derail me for a whole day. And now I'm like, okay, bad 5 minutes. Okay, done now. Let's move on, you know?
Yeah.
And apologizing. I think that comes with maturity though. I'm sorry, I made a mistake, which I don't think, which really disarms people. Like, oh, okay, cool. Let's move on.
Yes. Where to from here? Yeah, it's always a two-way exchange, isn't it? Definitely. And I feel like it's funny because when I started out freelancing, I felt like I had to kind of give this impression that I worked 9 to 5 at my desk without any disruptions from my life, and I tippy tappy, you know. And it's like, if anything, working through a pandemic has helped us all realize we're all just humans, and pretty much everyone has something other than work in their life, even if it's their cat, even if it's their elderly
cat walking in front of their Zoom. I was on a meeting the other day and this cat just
exactly,
and it's like shushing its tail.
Yeah, and it's okay. We're all just people, and it's okay that we can, you know. I think I've gotten better too, that when I first started and the kids were little and, you know, they'd be home from daycare because they were sick or whatever, and I'd feel like I had to pretend they weren't there.
Yeah, whereas I don't have children.
What was that noise? Nothing.
What's that? Just my children trying to kill each other. I'll be like, hang on.
Let me just shut the door. Oh, hang on, I don't have a door.
Just getting a door for Christmas.
Exactly. But now I'm like much more open around saying to people, you know, no, I can't meet at that point because I have to take my children to swimming lessons, or no, I'm going to have to postpone because my son's sick, or whatever it is. And I feel like there's a lot more, like maybe it's just me, but I feel like it's much more accepted and acknowledged that
I think post-pandemic,
yes,
everyone's like, yeah, cool. Like, and if your kids are on in the background of your Zoom, like that's fine. Everyone's used to it now. And that's one of the real positive things, is what I love about all the Zooming and all the you get to meet people's kids or jump on a Zoom, you get to see people's houses. Like I love that, because as you said, we're all just people getting to know other people. It's really been, that's a fun aspect of the hell of the last 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. Let's focus on the fun parts.
Let's focus on the fun stuff. So you mentioned we're both in She Will Shine. You mentioned you got to hang out with some shiners the other day, as they call each other. How do you maintain your sense of community outside? That's quite a small little group that we've got there, but
no, it's funny because I think it's really important to me to have that sense of community. And up until starting Chuckle Communications, I'd always worked in fairly big teams, and I'd always thought I don't want to work for myself because I love being around other people, and I love bouncing ideas off people, and I love being part of something other than just, you know, I thought working for myself would mean just being at home in a cave on my own, isolated, watching the washing dry on the line or whatever. But actually, like, yeah, community is really important. And I'm quite lucky, like in Wollongong, I've connected to some local networking groups, and then I'm part of some national networking groups like She Will Shine. And I'm quite open to just, like, especially when I started out, I would just reach out to people who I'd found on Instagram or wherever and say, oh, I'd love to connect, or maybe we could meet for a chat, especially if I knew they were local. And especially if I knew that they were maybe a mum also working from home alone, because we're all kind of in the same basket. And, you know, I've made a really good friend who's a local photographer through doing that kind of thing, and we now kind of collaborate on lots of work together, and she's become a really great kind of colleague, I guess. But yeah, I think you kind of have to go out there and create communities for yourself. But also saying that, like, I've some of my favorite people in my sort of work life are people that I've never met in person, and I might never meet in person.
Yeah. I met my whole team last Friday. Never met them. Been working with these people. I'm like, wanted to know how tall they were. They only know me from here on.
Before. I've only ever seen you from chest up.
I have a body. I'm a complete human. It's fun, isn't it? Because and also this whole pandemic bloody, but I've always worked online because I am remote. I'm in a tiny town. But before that I was in Melbourne, but Zoom didn't exist. But I love that Zoom does, or we could talk about Skype, but we won't. But I love that Zoom has enabled us to have really good connections, genuine, authentic connections with people who we may never meet. Yeah. And some of my best friends I've never met in real life or even spoken to. It's just Facebook Messenger.
Emails and messengers. It's funny, isn't it? I feel like it's been so freeing. I remember, because I grew up in a small country town, and then I went to Canberra for uni, and then I went to Sydney when I finished uni. And I remember feeling like I was quite tired to being in cities, working in PR and feeling like, I've got to be in the city.
PR, darling. Yeah.
PR, exactly. Champagne and parties.
Yeah.
Not quite. But actually now, you can literally do this kind of work from anywhere. And I mean, I'm in Wollongong, which isn't, a true.
Oof, that is a big city compared to where I am.
Exactly, it's huge compared to where I grew up. But I'm like,
where did you grow up? Sorry,
I grew up on a farm near Griffith in New South Wales. Yeah. So
out west.
Way out west. But it's really freeing to know that if for some reason we did, uproot and move to Whoop, as long as I've got an internet connection, I can still keep doing what I'm doing. Like, it's really liberating.
It is, but also like it's so wild because like I've worked with clients. I have clients like Germany, Texas, Bali, wherever, and it's like the most challenging part of that, time zones.
Time zones, yeah.
Time zones are a pain, and I have one of those brains that can't work them out. But yeah, I love that, and it is really liberating.
Yeah.
But, wow.
I know the world is literally our oyster.
Yeah, and when I did my master's a million years ago, the internet was just a new thing.
Okay.
So it's like now we can just do it wherever. It's wild. Anyway, so what's your why? What keeps you motivated in your amazing work?
I guess it started out. Sorry, it's a really noisy motorbike going past. It started out as being able to juggle family life and work, but actually, as much as that's a nice sort of bonus, my why is really around like helping raise up other people in business. Like, I just get such a genuine thrill from it, and I've realized that it's a big part of my identity. Like, I've got a lot of respect for anyone who chooses to stay at home when the kids are young and be a full-time mum, because that is not an easy job. That's really hard. But for me, I felt like I still really want this part of my life, and partly because I really love that external validation of having a client, like you say that was brilliant, or you've helped us do this, or thank you for helping us win this award. I find it really gratifying to know that I'm helping people other than myself, which is, again, the kind of profile raising thing. But I think my why is around sort of, making a positive impact, but also being able to be a parent and hopefully a good role model to my kids.
No pressure.
No pressure. Letting them be bored.
Yeah, it's fine, darling. Sort it out. Yeah. You'll be fine. Go make your own snacks.
Exactly. It's funny because I got my 8-year-old to make his own lunch for the first time yesterday.
My 7-year-old can make an omelette. Oh, sorry, not an omelette. Scrambled eggs. Haven't quite. But I'm like,
that's so good.
Life skills, buddy. Life skills.
I know.
You can't open a banana, but
I know. Well, yesterday he's saying to me that he was basically complaining about the lunchbox I'd made him the previous day, that he didn't like that kind of sandwich. And I said, well, do you want to make your own lunch? Can I? Yes, you can. Off you go.
There you go.
It's called Life Skills, and I am winning.
I'm like, anytime between now and the end of the year that you want to tuck shop lunch, we are on.
Yeah.
Minimize it all. I love it.
Yeah.
So other than teaching your kids life skills, what are your top tips for all the smart women and men? Turns out we've got a male listenership. Hello, boys, across the world, all the people in business across the world.
Oh, wow. Worldwide, the tips.
Yeah.
I guess it's just not be afraid to show up and be yourself. I think we can get in our own way so much. I think obviously we're our own worst critics. We feel cringy when people read out our bios. It's ridiculous because so often the people you think are looking at you and looking for all of your flaws and are either not looking at you at all, or if they are, they're looking at you and thinking, what a legend, look what they're doing. They're really impressed by you, and you're probably triggering their own imposter syndrome or comparisonitis at the same time. But, I think we just need to remember that there's room for all of us. And actually, I think when I started out, everything I was putting out there was just so safe and vanilla. It was pictures of hands on keyboards, and it was quotes about writing, which, that's just kind of dull and whatever. Maybe that's, for some people that might work, but I actually think just showing up in a more, I know it's overused, but authentic way that's really helped my business take off, because I'm not like saying that I'm out there, dancing on tables and dyeing my hair all colors of the rainbow to really stand out. But I just try and show up and be myself and, sharing videos of myself talking about things or celebrating my client wins, because someone pointed out to me at one point that like earlier in the piece, I was never talking about the wins I secured for my clients, whereas actually that's what I should be doing all the time. Because
but it's like, I don't want to be a show off.
Exactly. It's like we're getting in our own way. And I just think we kind of need to just embrace that show off aspect,
it's so hard.
It's hard. It's really hard. But I just think
why we outsource it.
It's true. Like we're having a conversation in the She Will Shine copywriter chat the other week, and it was about how all of us need someone else to keep us accountable to actually do our own content marketing, because we're so busy doing it for other people. It's like
100%.
I haven't published a blog in so long, and I haven't.
Don't look at my socials.
Don't look at my website, and it's so much. It is, for me, I find it easier to do it for other people. But I think if you can just embrace the discomfort, it's like anything. The more you do it, the easier it gets. I've got a sort of someone I know. I was going to say a friend. I've never met her, but Kate Merriweather. I don't know if you know her.
Yeah,
but she's been really great lately in showing up on LinkedIn consistently. I think she's been posting a video like every day, maybe.
Every day. And her hair always looks amazing.
Oh, she's got amazing hair. And she's great at just kind of showing up and being really real and sharing amazing tips, but also sharing her own, ups and downs along the way. And she did a bloopers reel recently, which was just hilarious, because I was starting to think, oh my gosh, she's so polished on camera. But actually, obviously there are outtakes like there are with anything in life, the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
Which, I'm sure you've done how many episodes of your podcast now? It's probably...
This is 53.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Pandemic year did not help, but it's real. And it's one of the great, like, I used to get so nervous, like not sleep the night before nervous if I had to interview someone. And now I'm like, it's like the funnest thing I do all week. I love it. Get to have a chat with someone interesting and learn things about people. It's so good. I love it. Yeah. So Erin, my love, how can people find out more about you and your work?
So if you Google Chuckle Communications, you will find me. I have a website. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. Obviously. The sexiest platform. I'm generally quite active and out there. I'm always happy to have people send me an email out of the blue. As I've already mentioned, I am booked up for the next few months, but always happy to have a conversation with people about what they might have in their plans for the long term. It's funny because I feel like in my head, I'm already sort of working in March and April next year, because a lot of the longer lead stuff I do is sort of for around then. So it's kind of, I feel like being in business sometimes makes the time fly way too quickly. But
it does. I've lost September, October, and November of this year. I don't know what happened to them, but they're gone.
I know. I nearly got caught out yesterday with it being, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but it was the 1st of December yesterday.
Oh yeah, you can say it.
Date this too much, but I was at swimming lessons and it was only that I was chatting to a friend and she said something about her advent calendars and I was like, I haven't got anything like that. And
on the shelf.
The elf on the shelf.
Where's the elf on the shelf?
How is it December? No.
It's my daughter's birthday tomorrow.
Oh
my God. She's 11. Does anyone want to borrow her for the next 6 years and just return her when she's amazing? Anyway.
That's getting into the real.
We're right there. It's really fun. So think of me this weekend when I've got 10, 11-year-olds over for a sleepover.
Oh, wow. I hope you get a nap at some point.
I do it every year. I don't know why. She loves it. Well, thank you, Erin. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you today.
Thank you so much. It's been the best fun I've had all day.